samsaraswapnatulyo hi ragadveshadisamkulaha swakale satyavat bhati prabodhe satyasad bhavet samsaraswapnatulyo hi ragadveshadisamkulaha swakale satyavat bhati prabodhe satyasad bhave. Interestingly, he continues the context of the dream in another way. Now, the waking state, which is full of attachments and aversions, ragadveshadi samkulaha. Samkulaha means full of attachments and aversions. Just like the dream, very like the dream, even the waking state and the dream full of attachments and aversions. As long as it exists, it appears to be real. But it becomes unreal when one is enlightened. Prabodhe satya sadbhavet. When you're awake, prabodhe sati. When awake, what happens when you're awake? What was real becomes unreal. All that. So now what's the interesting? In fact, often we have told, we have learned, and we have understood that there are three states of experiences, the three states of consciousness. Now, before I get into that, just take a note. Now, verses 6 to 15, he's talking about how these material equipments superimpose the world on Brahman. If this is the Brahman, the material equipments are being superimposed, means they are, what is superimposing means? How to explain superimposing? Hariji?
Impression.
It's an impression. It is it just an impression?
It is the base and this is a topping.
Pizza and the topping.
Okay.
The base and the topping.
Base is self.
The pizza base is the self. The topping is the?
Yeah.
Correct, dane? So superimpose means pizza. Base and topping. Chumma, example, what does it go to a better understanding?
Yeah.
If it helps you, why not? Yeah.
It is the impression.
It's the impression. It superimposes. So the reality is not seen. You don't know what the reality is. Okay. From verses 6 to 15, he's talking about it. Okay. Now, the experiences we have the waking, dream, and deep sleep. The three states of consciousness. So when you are in the waking state of consciousness, you become the waker. When you're in the dream state of consciousness, you become the dreamer. When you're in the deep sleep state of consciousness, you become the deep sleeper. Now, what you got to understand is the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper are three distinct personalities. They have an existence, they have a world, they are independent experiences. When you are in one, you are not cognizant of the other two. Like when you are in the waking state, you are not the dreamer, you're not the deep sleeper. When you're in the dreamer, you're not the waker, you're not the deep sleeper. When you are the deep sleeper, you're not the wake or the dreamer. That's clear. Now, furthermore, when you are the waker, you pronounce and you assert the waking world to be real. You reject the dream and the deep sleep as unreal. When you go into the deep sleep, you say that the dream is real and you reject the waking and deep sleep to be unreal. When you are in the deep sleep, you reject the waking and dream to be unreal. You assert the dream state to be real. Have you ever bothered? Have you been ever baffled by this understanding that, oh my God, I am not a single personality, but a threefold personality? Approximately what amount of time is spent in sleep? We can ask mathematical gurus in this classroom. And let's say if you have, let's say 100%, what's the percentage you've spent in sleep? Vijayaraghavanji.
Totally about 6 hours, out of which deep sleep is around 2 hours. Balance will be here and there, rapid eye movement or whatever it is. So the really completely lost to the world, so to speak, is only 2 to 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but actually, how much are you spending in sleep your whole lifetime?
Oh,
I'm getting some percentages there.
literally 1/3 of the time.
So what about 2/3? Dream and deep sleep, na? Together you must take,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes.
So what is the 2/3 of the personality percentage?
We are awake. About 60, say 60, 65, whatever.
60 odd percent we are awake?
Yes.
Shall we take that? Okay. No, I know. I'm
I'm
very
talking
poor.
about 24 hours, Guruji. I mean, I'm looking at it on that basis. I mean, in case my reference is wrong. Okay.
No, you are right. But
Yeah.
I'm saying, I think it could be more. In fact, childhood and all, we are constantly all the time sleeping. No, 24 hours we are sleeping.
Yes.
Taking all that into account.
Literally 50% then.
Okay, thank you. Being child, I think that's a better figure. I'm comfortable with.
Easier to.
Okay, whatever with the percentage, 30%, 40%, 50%. But imagine you don't know what is that experience. You don't know where you are. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what is that experience. In fact, it's only our Eastern philosophy that banks or analyzes that aspect of your experience. The Western school of thought, they don't consider that at all. And dream is a very powerful concept to convey what the verse is conveying here. So what the verse is saying, that this world, the waking state, is full of attachment and aversion. Exactly, it's very like a dream. Means the waking world has likes and dislikes. The dream also has got likes and dislikes. In fact, it is nothing but a play of your mind. Now, the only difference between waking and dream is waking world is 3D, dream is 2D, all the two-dimensional, three-dimensional. Everything else in the experiences of the waking and dream are exactly the same. But the question you and I got to ask is, which world is real? If you have spent 40-50% of your time in dream, which is real? Now, it's not that we do not know the answer. There's a difference between knowing it and that knowledge sinking into us. The moment you understand something as a mere illusion, what is your perception to it? How do you relate with it? It has no existence. So he's saying the waking world is exactly like the dream. As I've said earlier, it appears real only when you're in it. The moment you leave it, in fact, you could have had a healthy meal. In fact, you have overeaten. You have struggled to sleep. But the moment you fell asleep, you dreamt, and you dreamt yourself as if you haven't had a proper meal for 2 days or 3 days. So the food in your stomach doesn't satisfy the hunger of the dreamer. Cannot. You can be a married man in the waking state thinking yourself to be a bachelor. You could be a bachelor in the waking state thinking yourself to be married. That's how it happens. Hariji is nodding his head profusely. Maybe it happens more often to him, I think so. Huh? Huh? As long as it exists, it appears to be real. It becomes unreal. Now, the word for the world is samsar. Etymologically, samsar means that which comes and goes, that which is passing. Samsar means that which is passing, that is fleeting, that is it's just nothing, it's not permanent. As Lord Tennyson says, old order changeth, yielding place to new. Everything in life has to change. Old order changes, yielding place to something new. That's life. That's the world. That's samsara. Now, just because, now what is our experience? When we are in this experience, we believe this to be real, which is what is challenging. Just because this world appears to be little more vivid to you, you can't claim this world to be any more real. Is this any reason why a world should be real? No, he says exactly like a dream. As long as it exists, it appears to be real. And the famous context of the great experience of great Janaka, often we are quoted in the context. Janaka, as you know, he was royalty. One day he had a horrifying dream. He had such a dream that he apparently he woke up from his dream and he dreamt as if he was a beggar. And he couldn't digest the thought. And he was searching for answers. And his serious question was, am I the king who dreamt to be the beggar, or am I the beggar who's believing himself to be the King Janaka then? Until the great sage Ashtavakra came and told him this quintessential statement, which is what the verse is saying. You're not the waker, you're not the dreamer, you're not the deep sleeper, you're your own essential self. You are that fourth state, you are the Turiya, you are the Atman. So you're neither. So the entire journey is to get to that state, to state beyond the third. Beyond the third is the fourth. And that is the goal of spiritual aspirant. Any true spiritual aspirant will aspire to go beyond the limitations of the waking, dream, and deep sleep and get to the self. And in order to do that, what should we do? What is the essential thing we got to do? The answer is in the very word samsara. Tinkima, just now we have defined the word samsara. How did I define it?
That which is fleeting, passing, impermanent, comes and goes.
Correct. If this is what is happening in your life, is happening in my life, how should I relate with it?
Detach from it and know that it is not the truth. Know that it is unreal.
So carry on playing by the rules of that state. You must abide by the rules of that state. You can't call the waking world to be dream and say, I have not paid my taxes. I'm not following the traffic rules. I'm not abiding by the laws of that state. Why? When the authorities come and catch you and say, hey, why have you not been paying your taxes? Income tax department comes to you and get holds of you and say, you have been not paying your taxes. What would you tell, ma? It is only an illusion, man. What taxes are you talking about? You can't tell him that the waking world is just a dream. Can you tell him? You can't tell him. When you are in that state, play by the rules of that state. And then when you are in that state, understand that it is passing and fleeting. Nothing is permanent. The very famous words, even this shall pass away. Nothing is permanent. All the joy that comes in your life is not permanent. All the sorrow and misery and suffering you're going through is also not permanent. Remember, it shall pass away. Other day, somebody in a group messaged me. Not me, in a group he messaged. My immediate reaction was, my dear, please remember, even this shall pass away. And say I'm having difficult times, I'm going through some personal problems. My only message to him was, remember, it will pass away. So the only way you will be able to get to the self, you will be able to go beyond the samsara, is by developing a spirit of detachment or not getting attached. And wherever there is attachment, you actually smell that stench. Is it the stench or stench? Rajima? What's that English word? Stench, huh? You feel that stench of attachment. You're attached to anything, there is that foulness in it. You have money, learn to be detached to money. You have a family, learn to be detached to your family. You have health, learn to be detached to your health. Nothing is permanent. Anything can happen anytime. You have created a little name, be detached to name, because it can be tarnished anytime, isn't it? The moment you have created it, it's more possible that somebody can just fling a remark and spoil it. If nobody knows you, then no big deal. The moment you become public, it becomes that much more vulnerable. You can lose it anytime. Remember, the only way you'll go beyond it is to learn to develop a detachment. Now, what is the difference between King Janaka and us? Don't tell. He's a king and I'm just a normal person. Don't tell that. Huh? What is the difference between King Janaka and us? What is it that we can do what King Janaka did, which we don't do?
He searched, he asked himself, he looked for the what is possibly real.
Yes, very much. Setramanji?
He was a Raja Rishi. He had possession, but he was not possessive. He was a detached soul. Although he had power, fame, and everything, he was always detached.
Yes. Now, with reference to the experience of the dream, what is it that he did which we don't do?
He reflected.
He reflected, he questioned the dream. He held on to that little memory of the dream.
Knowledge to wisdom.
That translated into wisdom. But what he did is, now what, see, the moment you get up, all of us have a little reminiscence of the dream, don't we? The last few lingering thoughts of the dream are very much there in your mind. At the moment you actually have a glimpse of what you dreamt of, you and I would instantly dismiss it and carry on and get carried away and become the waker. But the moment you leave the presence of the dream and become the waker is cognizant of that reminiscence of the dream. And that moment, if you hold on to that last mental impressions of the dream, are the most philosophical impressions. You just hold on to the dream, which was so real till then. Now you know it is no more real. And then you question it. Am I that? Or am I this? This is exactly Janaka did. He questioned that experience of the dream beggar, and he questioned, am I that beggar? Am I this king who dreamt to be the beggar, or am I this king? So he questioned it. We don't do that. So these are very, very philosophical movements where it can really transport you into a self-inquiry. Isn't it? Follow Seturamanji.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Hariji.
The final savior of Janaka was his guru. So Guruji, you mean what I say?
Sir,
The Guruji saved him.
don't put additional pressure on me, please.
I didn't tell that.
No, that is putting pressure on me, serious pressure. No, yeah. He had that great sage Ashtavakra.
Ashtavakra.
The story goes about clarifying it. You know, many a time, in fact, the statement, the knowledge is always there. Many a time, many students, through the course of their association with the knowledge, they come and tell, it made so much sense. It made so much sense. Even other day, one of the classes, somebody messaged me and said, Guruji, the class was exceptional. And the message was so resonating. It really clicked me. And even in the class, I told, I've been saying this from the day one. It's not that I'm saying anything different. I've been saying the same thing. Huh? Then what is it that has resonated? It's not the message is any different. Then what has changed?
Reflection.
Reflection? Sorry, sir?
Our own studying and our own reflection and purifying the mind.
It's actually the student has become more receptive. That's about all.
Yeah.
So only when the student becomes qualified or ready, the knowledge has an impact. It's not that the teachings are any less. The question is how prepared and how geared is the student. And the moment the student is geared and prepared, the same teachings can catapult you. Now, if it is not catapulting, it's not that there's anything less in the teachings. It is my inability to attune or relate to it. Is exactly even our own experience, my own experience through the process of learning, something which I would have said, I would have learned, I would have contemplated many times, but suddenly it hits you as a flash. You get the deeper message. So it's not that you do not know. It's just that you're still attached to the lower. You're not ready for the higher. You're not let go on. The moment you let go, that's when you're ready. You're not ready yet. That's why I say adhikari, true adhikari. Who is a true adhikari? Go back to the first verse. He says that, isn't it? Tapaha, etc. Now, one other point which comes is the dream world is real from whose point of view? Subramaniamji. The dream world is real from whose point of view?
Hariom Guruji, from the dreamer's point of view.
The dream is unreal from whose point of view?
From the waker's point of view,
It's
and
unreal.
also the deep sleeper's point of view.
Correct. Now, the waking world is unreal from the standpoint of, I'm going with the masters now, not playing amongst the three states. The waking world, okay, let's ask the much basic question. The waking world is real from whose point of view?
From the waker's point of view.
From the waker's point. The waking world is unreal from?
From the fourth state point of view, the Turiya, which is witnessing all these three worlds.
Correct. From the standpoint of the fourth, the waking world is unreal. Now, what should be the role of a sadhak as a waker? Because neither can I say that the world as unreal, neither should I get involved in the world as real. How should I approach it? How should I deal with it?
Like you said, Guruji, play by the rules of that state. Play by the rules of that state. This knowledge has given me that, I will not call it enlightenment, that wisdom, that this is not real. But I just shall not run away from it, as you said, flouting rules and all these things, because they are meant to be followed when I'm in that state.
Correct.
So I understand that. I love my children. I care for my children. I do all that. And yet, I realize that this is not the end. This too shall pass. And my goal is something higher. So when I have that, I will not say much about people like me and all. That is how people like Ramana Maharshi and all lived as a Jivan Mukta. They were there doing whatever everybody was doing, Chinmayandaji and all that. They appeared so natural and so much involved, so much full of joy, happiness, mirth and all that. But still, deep inside, they could withdraw at will and then again come out whenever they want to, which is not the case with me.
No, I understand. I agree to that. But as a sadhak, what should be the state? Why I wanted to clarify with this is there are three that I already mentioned two standpoints, which is the absolute reality and no reality, isn't it? Srinivas Reddy Garu, following? There's absolute reality and no reality. Now, what we got to understand is what is the stance of us towards the world as a layman? What is the stance of us to the world?
The world is real.
We are treating the world as
real. Yes.
Very real. If there is hunger in the stomach,
yes, it is very real.
Very real. If there's a cut on my finger, the pain is very real. If somebody slings an insult, it is very real. Everything in the world is very, very real, to the extent the world is haunting you, isn't it? Now, what we are doing, the world which has no reality, we are giving a status of what is known as an absolute reality. We are not able to understand the illusory nature of the world. We are caught up in the world. Why? Because we are giving so much reality to the world. The business world is very real to me. The financial world is very real to me. Everything is very real. It's haunting me. So what the master is saying, give it what is known as a relative reality. You got to come from the extremities, which is from an absolute reality, come to the relative reality. Means as long as it's there, yes, I have to play by the rule. And I understand it as long as it is there, it appears to be real. But the moment I pass the realm, it appears illusory. So understand, play by it, that it is relatively real. There is an underlying reality, which is the absolute reality. I'm just being carried away by the superimposition. I must get attuned to the underlying phenomenon, which is the absolute reality. So the world, which is a superimposition, I am giving it the status of absolute reality. So my goal must be to give this so-called world, the samsara, give it a relative reality. Then you don't get attached. That is when, in fact, you are detached. Some of them have said you are a witness. And Srila Ji says, Sthita Prajna, another way of describing a man of perfection, is one who has completely transcended the world, who becomes complete objective. As Hari Ji also correctly says, you just play a role. You know, Shakespeare says, he who steals my purse steals trash. Harish, have you heard of that phrase? Where is it? Which play is it? He who steals my purse steals trash. What does it mean?
So the trash is just of no consequence.
He who steals my purse
It's
steals
the money in the
trash.
purse, and that is a fleeting thing. It comes and goes. So
Not just purse, all that what your purse can buy.
that's what inside the money, the wealth.
Shiva is saying trash is in the purse. Inna sir?
Trash.
Sir, you are never serious, sir. Enna sir, இந்த மாதிரி பண்றீங்க நீங்க? Please, for God's sake, we are teaching ATMABODHA. Ingyo, you are to impossible, sir. நீங்க.
Reality.
No. அது வேணும். We need it. He who steals my purse steals trash. Means look at the value he gave to what your purse can buy. Your purse can buy, what can it buy? It can only buy all tangible things. Money can buy you what? What can money buy? Money can buy a roof over your head. Money can buy you farmhouses. Money can buy you all whatever you want. All material it can buy. But money can't buy you even emotion. Money can't buy you trust. Can you buy trust? You can have a servant, a caretaker. Other day we were, thanks to someone, a well-wisher, we had a chance to visit a farmhouse and spend little time in their beautiful farm. And the gentleman was saying, we have planted so many trees, so many organic trees, and so much yield and produce comes. But the caretaker is enjoying. That fellow finds a way to enjoy them and sell it off, and the produce is not actually to what we have planted. 2,800 trees are planted, and the produce is not as much as they should get, because thanks to the caretaker. I have a caretaker, but I can't trust. I'm paying him salary, yet I can't buy trust from him. So money can't buy you trust. Money can't buy you faithfulness. Money can't buy you integrity. Money can't buy you knowledge. Money can't buy you happiness. Money can buy you books. Money can buy you servants. Money can buy you food, but not appetite. Money can buy medicines, but not health. Money can give you friends, acquaintances, but not true friends. And so on. So when you understand that he who steals my purse steals trash, look at the very forefront, he has understood the value of what it can offer to me. So he maintains a perfect detachment to it. So if it is gone, it's gone. He understands he views it from that grand perspective. Yes, Jay.
In fact, Guruji, the next lines of that are even more beautiful,
Please, Jay.
because it says that it talks of that wealth, and he says, it was mine, it is his, and it has been slave to thousands before. So showing the ephemeral nature of the whole of the wealth. And then goes on to say that he who robs my good name, right? Or who, he uses some other old English word, which I don't remember, but he who robs my good name takes that which is of no use to him, but leaves me poor forever.
What does it mean?
That means the good name, if he takes my good name, it will not enrich him, but it will make me poorer.
How does it make him poorer?
Because that is all he has. He says, that is all that is mine. And you take that away from me, you leave me poor, but you don't enrich yourself. Probably that's Swadharma, or I don't know, that's probably Shakespeare or Othello or Cassius's way of putting it. I don't know.
Yes, so much wealth of wisdom out there. Vijay Kumar is saying Iago. So Iago means Othello, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an Othello.
Othello
And
play,
it's
okay.
the advice to Cassius.
Cassius, okay.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I might be wrong.
Okay. So the message here is very, very powerful. It's not worth hanging on to anything. It's not worth it. Just go about doing your job as dispassionately as possible. Whatever job, just do it dispassionately. Understanding that it is not worth hanging on to. The best of jobs, the worst of jobs, whatever it is, just do it. Because the moment you are possessed by your possession, it is samsara. You will not be able to even conceive anything beyond it. So if you want to get to the fourth state, understand the fleeting nature. Remember, it is the unreal. You will have the possibility of getting to something beyond it only if you are dispassionate to it. And for that, you need to at least know your areas of your attachment. You need to know areas of your weakness. Because your growth only happens in areas of your weakness. So at least you should know, where are you weak? What are you attached to? Ramana Garu, following her?
Yes, Guruji, I'm following.
Right.
So I want to share one this thing, Swamiji, like
Yes, please.
like how to be in the in samsara. So there was one. I think it's my reading, one of my readings. Like if you're let us say you're in a you're an emperor. Let us say you're an emperor of this world, right? And by knowing that you're playing as on stage, you're playing as a beggar, right? Because you know that you are an emperor in yourself and you are only playing that role as a beggar. So you will play well because you know that that is not you. So knowing the true self of us and behave in the society or in your whatever you're doing with the consciousness that you're not that. So you'll perform better.
Absolutely. Correct. Yeah. You're above it. It doesn't matter.
Yes, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yes. Very true. Very true. Very nice, Ji. Very nice. Yeah. Lastly, Gayatri Ma, I think we're just overshot. We'll just take one more clarification.
Guruji, I only was very pleased to hear that everything will fleeting and pass away. So it gave me a lot of relief, Immediately my weaknesses came to my mind, and immediately it struck me also. All this will pass away.
Yes. Nothing, even the weakness is not permanent, isn't it? It's going to pass.
Pass away.
It's going to pass away. Absolutely. Then what happens? There's no stress at all. No stress, no
You're at
anxiety, no worry.
No anxiety, no worries. It's a bliss where.
You're in bliss. Absolutely. Very true. Very true. So, one thing is the theoretical aspect we all understand. Another thing is how well are you able to relate to it innately attuned to it and function in that spirit. That is what I said, objective knowledge and a subjective experience. And the only way you will be able to translate your objective understanding into a subjective experience is through manana, reflection. Unless and until you do that reflection, you invest your time into becoming that thought, you must merge with that idea so that you can operate from that level. Now you are thinking, your thinking is still low rather. This thinking is still at the lower, but ideal is your thoughts are higher, you're working at the lower level. That's detachment. Now you're working here and thoughts are also here, full of attachment. But you want to be detached, your thoughts have to be lot from the higher, you carry on doing your duties and responsibilities, whatever they are. Then you do it dispassionately. So if you carefully go in between these concepts and start personalizing it, don't look at it as a concept, look at it as a abhyasa. How much am I practicing it? And that's when it really hits you where you truly are. And you know where you need to put into practice. Then it gives you a lot of takeaway. And then you start working on areas where you need to evolve. As a concept, you will be able to rattle off. That's not the big takeaway from a satsang like this. It is to personalize. That's what is important. Okay? We'll come back.